r/AskReddit, what was ruined by rich people? Every single piece of water with accessible waterfronts. Edit, wow, lots of upvotes. Going forward, upvotes will be $8. Housing, used to be the only people buying houses were those that were intending to live in them. Now you have rich people looking into investing in real estate, and guess what, rich houses are poor investments. So rich people are buying up all the affordable housing, driving up the price and creating scarcity. So many things, but I'll say trucks. Once upon a time, a humble working class vehicle for people who need to be able to do things themselves. Now they're all luxury vehicles with massive margins, unaffordable to anyone who needs them to do real work. Everest. Old school ski mountains with family vibes and stoner lifties rocking to music. We always watched those silly ski patrol movies about the big corporations coming in and making them yuppieville, and then it happened. The middle class. Colorado. Beaches. / overdevelopment, they fuck it up every damn time. Thrifting. Concerts. Why is pork shoulder and oxtail so expensive? It literally used to be the parts nobody wanted. There used to be a really nice big park in the center of the city where I live. Everyone would go there, it was a nice open space, take your kids, take your dogs, enjoy the fresh air. Then some people from the rich part of town along the edges of the park decided they didn't like the noise coming from the park and pulled some bullshit to buy it out and walled it off so you couldn't go to the park unless you lived in that specific neighborhood anymore. The worst part is a ton of money was spent when they first bought it, building it up, adding fountains and children's play areas and redoing the flower beds, and then no money or attention was given to it again and the whole place fell into disrepair. So now even if you live in the neighborhood you can't go there because everything is falling apart and overgrown. So the assholes took the really nice park from everyone else and then neglected it until it became a shithole in the middle of the city. I stopped going to professional sports because I can only afford shitty seats. Not worth the effort anymore. Cheap and simple dishes. Ramen, tacos, sushi. Now everything's gotta be labeled premium only to taste the exact same, if not, worse. Burning Man. Any hobby where there's potential profit. Now you've got dickheads like the Logan Paul ruining Pokemon cards. Not because they're into them because they like Pokemon, but because they read the stories about the rare cards and just hammered their endless piles of cash into getting everything. Same with those asshole sheiks with massive comic book collections. They don't give a fuck about comics. They just collect popular valuable stuff. Aspen, Colorado. Housing flipping for sure, looking to potentially buy at the moment, and everything has been fitted with new gray kitchens and modern lighting etc., which isn't my style. I may be in the minority here, but means paying way more for a house and then having the job of ripping everything out. 80s and 90s cars. The market is super hot right now and all the rich guys are buying them up. Sorta like 50s and 60s cars in the 90s. Earth. Government. The housing market. The standard of living for everyone else. Collecting. In the past few years the price of little collectibles and things of that sort have gone insanely high. Cards, action figures, you name it, just look up any sub for a hobby and you'll see people dropping your entire salary in one day. Theme parks. Gone are the days when everyone was equal and you all had to queue, regardless of your income. And even until recently some theme parks gave fast passes periodically throughout the day. Now if you've got deep pockets you can queue jump, making your day a little better and everyone else's a little worse. Clothing brands. Carhartt, Dickies, Levi's and many more. Like why did a Dickies t-shirt go from $15 to almost $40 in a few years? Everything really, mofos have more money than common sense and jack up the prices for the rest of us. Thrift stores. Being poor. I can't even be homeless without trying to fight for a camping spot. Concerts. You can't even buy a beer at one for what a general admission ticket used to cost, and people still pay for it. Gestures at everything. Edit. Thank you kind strangers for the awards. My hometown, a lot of the long-time locals here are working class, and it used to have a bigger sense of community. In the recent decade, rich people have decided that it's a cute small town with pretty scenery to buy a second home to rent out to other rich people who want to visit. Many of the long-time residents here are struggling to keep/find homes. Meanwhile, rich people who just discovered this small town can easily buy a home or rent an overpriced Airbnb. Literally disgusting here now. Cheap foods, like chic herons, or tejano. I'm from Mexico. When I was a kid, tejano was something that were even gift in meats market. Now they sell you a damn bone in meat price or even higher. The same with chicharron, that was really cheap to buy, but with rich people discovering how good it is, now is impossible. All places up the prices because rich people buy it at high rates, and don't know what the heck they are shopping anyway. Once the rich find out about anything good, they wreck it for the rest of us. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, internet environment. The easy answer, everything. The harder answer, interclass solidarity and quality of life. They've worked so hard to separate the have-nots into their own little groups. We're too busy fighting each other instead of taking the fight, politically speaking, to the rich and the 1%. You have more in common with your fellow man than you ever will with a Bill Gates or Elon Musk. Edit. Thanks for the awards, holy hell. Glad my highest post is about something important. Love. Sailboats. Used to be you could on a working man's salary get a decent day sailing boat that you could go out with for the day with enough cabin space and amenities to live aboard for a long weekend, maybe a week. Like the McGregor 26. But nobody makes mere sailboats anymore, they make yachts. Expensive, over-designed yachts. Video games. They've found a way to sell unfinished games while also maximizing microtransactions in some. Some companies are better about this, but the big ones are all about the money with as little effort as possible. Bourbon. It used to be the most expensive bourbon you could find was like $100. Now, with everyone collecting, the prices have skyrocketed. The secondary market is completely insane. Music festivals. Used to be a bunch of hippies having a good time and doing drugs. Now it's rich kids taking selfies dressed as hippies and doing drugs. Nerd paraphernalia like Star Wars or Marvel/DC stuff, action figures, comic books, etc. Used to be just a fun hobby for kids and kids at heart. Now it's almost totally purchased by richer, dedicated speculators solely for profit. The middle-class family's ability to live comfortably on a single wage. Renting. The overabundance of Airbnbs and $2,000 studio apartments in rural/suburban places is outrageous and ruining the possibility for low-income and working-class people to have a roof over their heads. I live in New York State, and ever since COVID, all these city richies are buying up all the cheap places in the country to try and make a profit, as if they need any more money. Thailand. It used to be a backpacker's paradise. You used to be able to stay in huts on the beach and eat in local family-run restaurants. All taken over by 5-star spa resort hotels, international chains, and businesses moved in. Tulum, Jackson Hope, Aspen, many rural areas of Colorado, Antigua, Guatemala, Land Rover Defenders, etc. Formerly cool towns, Denver, Austin, Asheville, etc. Hockey. The equipment is now super expensive, and ice time fees are becoming exorbitant. This isn't even getting into levels of play. If you want to have a shot at the NHL, then your family better be able to fork over $20K-$30K for AAA prep schools or the like, because Tier I junior teams and Major Junior, which are the leagues that the NHL scouts, only select from AAA leagues. When I was 21 and single, fishmongers used to give away / throw out fish heads. They now charge. Flank steak was way cheap until people learned how to cook it. Now it's bloody expensive. Tiny houses or organic farming, free-range chickens or egg, now everything is expensive because it's in trend. The UK's economy. Or at this point the UK. Just all of it. Send help / politicians who don't hate their people. Please. Lobsters. Renting, buying property, taxes, anything that affects my ability to live the future I want based on cost living while they're out on vacation in Bali. The price of housing. Either renting or owning, it's insane. Worldwide. College. The rich killed the market price for low-income students, then gutted tuition assistance programs and turned them into for-profit loan sharking. Democracy. Environment. Yes, I will just turn off the light in my living room when I'm not using it. I'm sure it will combat the billions of tons of CO2 created by those private planes. Disneyland / World of You're Handicapped. Used to be that if you were a wheelchair user, but could transfer, Disney would let you and your party go in the exit, and skip the line. It made it easier to load the person into the ride, and it made the Disney experience a little better for people who are otherwise usually dealt with as an afterthought, if at all. Then rich people started to rent handicapped people so their precious, entitled crotch goblins wouldn't need to wait in line at Disney. When word got out, Disney had to change the policy so handicapped people would have to be split from their group, while the group waited in line. Disney was one of the only places where handicapped people were not treated as an afterthought, but the elite ruined that. US politics. A third of this country lives in a delusional fantasy land. The goth subculture, it used to always be make everything yourself, build it with basics. I've been part of the subculture for the last 15 years. Now if I don't wear Dollskill or Killstar, luxury goth clothing, 14-year-olds on the internet tell me it's not goth. The economies and well-being of natives of a crap ton of islands. I'm talking Hawaii, places in the Caribbean, etc. Becoming economically dependent on tourist culture that is created and ultimately profited on by rich foreigners sucks. PPL can argue about whether or not their trip to these places are helping the economy or not, but what's undeniable is that the people creating these tourist economies don't give a single shit about the natives as they bulldoze through sacred sites and native neighborhoods in order to hand out culturally inaccurate hula skirts at 3-star hotels. Our chances of avoiding catastrophic climate change. Walking. You can't walk anywhere anymore. Everything is built to be driven to. Everything. The American dream. Socioeconomic mobility has been completely perverted due to a rigging of the system by the ultra-wealthy over the past few decades. When someone is born into poverty, now more than ever are they likely to stay impoverished. 400 families control more wealth in this country than the bottom 50% of Americans. Life. Lobsters. Used to be a cheap food from the sea. Now we've got $30/pound lobster. I just want some cheap lobster, rich people. Tipping. The history of tipping has roots in rich assholes not wanting to pay their workers or just showing off their wealth. Now, Americans plus others, need to solve a math problem before they can leave a restaurant. Cheap meats, canned and not canned, Vienna sausages, corned beef, gizzards, oxtail, tripe, crawfish, and so forth and so on. But now it's considered exotic to eat like this. I'm going to just say it, as it's the season Christmas. Corporations really did a number on Christmas. Plastic junkie decorating starting as early as Halloween, really dated irritating songs playing in every store starting November, all the consuming and now this buy gifts for yourself narrative. The more you can ignore all this, the more meaningful the holidays are. Avocados. The environment. The internet. Football. Cheap food and booze. Every time rich people discover a diamond in the rough, it gets too expensive and commercialized. Edit, everything - every time. Almost everything that has anything to do with money at this point. Neighborhoods like Harlem, in Manhattan, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights and Flatbush, in Brooklyn, and Kingsbridge Heights, in the Bronx, all because they greedily moved to places that are cheap, from where they were able to comfortably afford the higher rents. Eventually, the landlords research rents in the areas the rich people left, and then raise their rents for everybody, making it harder for the established, lower-income residents to afford to stay. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed this video and subscribe to never miss an upload.